All right, Ishel, you say you're next.
Thanks. My ADHD brain is not coping with the order. Do you want me to repost?
Please, yeah, that'd be great.
There you go.
Okay, so you said, where are you zooming in from, by the way?
I am in Chiapas, Mexico.
Okay, all right. Said, okay, I've been working on my problem statement for how to articulate what I do right. So I'm Michelle Lunar, an indigenous time ecologist. I'm known for decolonizing time. I work with rat race renegades, multi-passionate creators, and soulful entrepreneurs breaking free from the capitalist grind to realign their energy, reclaim their time, and reconnect with their creative flow. Well, beautiful. I mean, God, decolonizing time. Fantastic. Um, okay, and so you're wanting my reflections on what you've written?
Yeah, am I getting there?
Yeah, right. Okay, well,
I
let's,
did the ideal client thing, and of course, what I had originally been working with for the last year or so is revolutionary leaders, creatives, and writers. And of course, those words were all
yeah.
highlighted. Don't do this.
Yeah, it's so it's not that they're bad. I think it's just insufficient. Like when people use them on their own without any examples, without any, here's what I mean, we run the risk of people interpreting them really differently, and then you get clients that aren't really a fit, or it just doesn't catch people. So, okay. Indigenous time ecologists. I'm known for decolonizing time. I work with rat race renegades. I like it. All right, multi-passionate creators and soulful entrepreneurs breaking free from the capitalist grind.
I'm using Indigenous time ecologists because I have been shadow bound for the last couple of years using decolonizing time on a number of different platforms. And so I'm really trying to figure out how to be seen. And it's getting tougher and tougher in this climate.
Yeah, I hear you. Is the shadow banning because they don't like the word decolonizing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Um, it's interesting. I mean, I generally get the idea that it's okay. So people who are just way too busy, people feeling
Yep. Time
overwhelmed,
scarce,
yeah,
overwhelmed. Yep.
burned out, exhausted. So I might weave in some of that. Like I could see um, who are burned out, exhausted, and are tired of feeling like they never have enough time like this. Um, let's see. Just going to take this out for a second. Move down here. They're tired of, when they never have time. What's it? Three. So this something like this, I generally get it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a kind of a, you're too busy. We're going to help you create more. If I were to really boil it down, the way I hear it is like Island A, too busy. Island B, spacious life. Something like this is the way I hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that land generally?
Yeah. Yeah. I focus on presence. in my signature program, Wild Presence, the a present life. I don't know, but yeah,
I see. Right. It's like, yeah, people feel like they can't ever be here right now because they're always so busy with a million things.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so it could be like too busy to enjoy slash be present, right? Or like, so it could be like space to enjoy slash be present, something like that. Um, and so, it could be um, feeling like life is rapidly passing them by.
Hmm.
Because sometimes I could imagine it's like, I'm working with people who they get to a point in their life where they realize, I mean, there's that meme where it says, being an adult is just saying, it's pretty busy this week, but it should open up next week over and over again until you die. Um, but
That's a
that
good
that
one.
people, yeah, that people feel like there's a point in people's lives where it's like, if I don't change something, nothing's going to change here.
Hmm.
The sand is slipping through the hourglass, and I am going to run out of sand faster than I think. Like there's certain moments where people wake up and they realize like, I just have to change everything. I got to change my life. I've got to do something. So there's something about this of like, what is that moment? Um, but
Personal doomsday clock.
right. Um, but here's so that's but I would say generally I get it. I have a rough sense. Okay, yeah, people real busy. They need to throw some elbows, get some more space in their life, not be run by the clock so much. That part lands. But I actually think then the most, and there's lots of people who do that, right? If I go down to the harbor and I say, hey, I'm burned out, exhausted, I feel like I never have enough time, like life is really just passing me by. And are there any people who can help? Yeah, 10,000 coaches,
Right.
right? So on the island A and B, I don't see something that's very specifically hyper unique. But to me, the interesting part of your work is the indigenous time, the decolonizing time. So to me, that would be something, I don't know if it's in the headline or it's a little further down, but I would try to put it in the headline, which I guess you have, indigenous time ecologist, but something like this is something I recommend for everyone just to think about. Very helpful is okay, well, let me ask you. So, Ishel, people who are into your work would also probably be into who or what?
Mm. Um,
Like,
Other folks that are doing decolonial work.
such as whom?
Um, uh, I think her name is Jennifer Moulin.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
might
yeah.
not be right. Decolonizing therapy. Um, Trisha Hershey, Nat Ministry. Um, I mean, there's a bunch of various sort of decolonial influencers that are out there that people follow.
Who else? Are there any other names or authors? It's like, yeah, if you really like my stuff, you'd probably also like who's on your bookshelf? Who are your favorite authors on your bookshelf or
Mm.
that you dig?
I'm terrible with names. So yeah, there's some good books that folks have gotten close with some of this work. Um, Shoot, I would have to open my Audible. Um,
Yeah, I mean, getting close is good. It can also be it was books. It's not like about this topic specifically, but like, do you like
yeah,
the work of Thomas King? Do you like the work of Bayo Kamalafe? Do you like the work of
so bio is someone that I've studied extensively with. Um, yeah, love Bio's work.
Um, right, Martine Prechtel, Stephen Jenkinson, Angeles Arian, uh, uh, oh, God, what's her name? Does the she wrote the book Pleasure Activism.
Uh, Adrienne Marie Brown is another. Yep,
Right.
yep.
Okay. So, I mean, we can keep going, but this is something that I recommend doing if you are, it's one of the ways of niching, and you can put this really close to the top. It's like, look, your life is fucked up, you're too busy, but you can't bear the thought of hiring a typical life coach, because of their politics. So, if you're drawn to the work of these people, you're into these scenes, you have these identities, then we might get along really well. Like something like this can go very close to the top and be a part of the niching.
Okay.
you know so I could imagine a headline being something like God, these are just terrible, so don't take these too seriously, but like a decolonial approach to burnout, or um uh yeah, I would just consider bringing this very close to the top. If you're into this constellation of things,
Hmm.
it could be the first sentence. It could be like, look, decolonial approach to burnout. Hey, you are what I call a rat race renegade. Maybe you've been working for the man, or you just got out of working for the man, but you're just burned out. You're exhausted. You're tired of feeling like there's never enough time, like life's passing you by, all that. And when you look at the current move, and you need to handle this, but you look at the current holistic and coaching movement, and you're just like, oh God, it's just so colonized. It's so nobody speaks up about genocide. Nobody talks about this. Nobody, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're drawn to these kinds of people, these authors, these approaches, these words, these identities, then this is an approach that might work for you, and here's how. Like, hey, let me introduce myself. My name's Ishel Lunar, and I'm an indigenous time ecologist. And I think here's the trouble with a lot of the life coaching approaches to this, or typical holistic approaches to this. Here's what I think is missing. And this is one of the biggest questions around niching that I would give to everybody is you look out at the marketplace and you ask yourself, what's missing? It's almost certainly why you started your business is you saw something was missing and you're ornery about it because you're like, I didn't want to do this. I wanted to find somebody else who did this, but nobody else was doing it. So I guess it's me that had to do it. I promise you, I didn't want to know this much about niching. I had zero interest. I was looking for somebody else who was an expert in niching and I couldn't fucking find anybody. So I had to write a book about it, which I didn't want to write. But I knew, I just needed to have it to give to my clients because that was the basis of so much, etc. I had no interest in having this much to say about ethical marketing. It was just like, I can't find a source. So I've had to write it. Anyways, um, you look at what's missing in the marketplace, what's nobody offering. But then you can also look at like what's missing and how it's being offered. Okay, lots of people are offering support in this, but what's missing in the approach to it? Because that's part of the niche too. It's like, hey, when I looked around me, I saw so many people just, burning out. And I saw that most of the approaches were based in this, this, and this, and they missed this whole other world. And I couldn't understand why. And so that's what I've put together is an approach that is based on these older systems, these approaches, these understandings. How does that all land for you?
Yeah, I love it. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling in.